Tonight, while you sleep, your entire relationship with money can begin to change. You are not here by accident. Not tonight. Not at this exact moment, lying there with thoughts that refuse to slow down, carrying the weight of things that never quite worked out the way you hoped. There is a reason you pressed play, a quiet pull you could not explain, and somehow you stayed. Because deep down, you know something is missing. Not effort, not desire. You have tried, you have pushed, you have hoped, and still something felt blocked. Like life was moving, but not for you. But tonight is different. Not because you will try harder, not because you will force yourself to believe something new, but because something deeper is about to shift, without effort, without struggle, even without you fully understanding how. There is something about the state you enter before sleep, a doorway most people pass through every night, completely unaware of its power, a moment where the noise fades and something else begins to listen, something beneath the surface, something that has been quietly shaping your reality this entire time. And once you understand how to work with that, everything changes. But before I tell you that, stay with me, because what comes next will completely change how you see this. Most people will never hear this, not because it is hidden, but because they stop too soon. They look for loud answers, fast results, external proof, and they miss the one place where real transformation actually begins. Right here, in stillness, in silence, in this exact moment where you are no longer fully in the day, but not yet asleep. Tonight you are going to learn something simple, but powerful. You will understand why money has felt distant, even when you were doing everything right. You will begin to feel a shift inside you, not forced, not fake, but natural. And as your body relaxes, as your mind softens, something new will start to take root. A different frequency, a different identity, a different version of you, one that does not chase money, but naturally attracts it. You do not need to figure it all out right now. You do not need to force belief. Just stay here, listen. Let the words settle gently into you, because tonight, something begins. Welcome to the channel. If you are ready to experience this shift, subscribe now and just allow yourself to receive. There is a reason all your effort still feels like it is going nowhere. You have done the affirmations, repeated the words, tried to stay positive even when everything inside you felt heavy. You pushed yourself to work harder, think better, act smarter. And yet, something did not move. The results did not match the energy you were giving. That quiet frustration, it built up over time, and no one really explained why. Do not skip this part, because this is where most people make the biggest mistake. The truth is, repetition alone does not reprogram your mind. Science shows that your subconscious does not respond to words, it responds to emotion. That means you can say, I am wealthy, 1,000 times, but if your body still feels lack, fear, or doubt, your mind listens to the feeling, not the sentence. That is why it felt like nothing was working. Not because you failed, but because no one told you this piece. And it is exhausting, is it not? Feeling like you are doing everything right, but something invisible keeps canceling it out. Watching others move forward while you stay stuck in the same loop. Questioning yourself quietly, wondering if maybe it is just not meant for you. That silent doubt, it hurts more than failure. But here is the shift. It is not your effort that creates results. It is your frequency. The way you feel, the energy you hold, the identity you carry beneath your thoughts. That is what shapes everything. And once you understand how that works, everything you thought you knew begins to change. And what I am about to share next, nobody talks about this. But it changes everything. Money responds to something most people never even notice. Not your job, not your effort, not even your skills in the way you have been taught. There is something deeper at play, something invisible yet constant. And once you start to see it, you cannot unsee it. Do not skip this part, because this is where most people make the biggest mistake. Money is not just paper or numbers, it is energy. And energy always moves toward a matching frequency. Just like a radio can only play the station it is tuned into, your life can only reflect the frequency you are holding inside. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you sit in, creates a signal, and that signal is what money responds to. Here is something few people know. Studies in neuroscience show that your brain filters reality based on what it expects to see. This system, called the reticular activating system, quietly decides what opportunities you notice and what you completely miss. So when your inner state is tuned to lack, your world rearranges itself to prove that true. Not because life is against you, but because your mind is filtering everything through that lens. And that is where it starts to make sense, does not it? Why two people can work just as hard, yet live completely different financial realities. Why sometimes money flows easily, and other times it feels blocked for no clear reason. It is not random, it is not luck, it is alignment. Here is the truth nobody says out loud. You were never chasing money. You were always broadcasting a signal. And money does not come after you earn it, it comes after you match it. And what I am about to share next, nobody talks about this. But it changes everything. Something powerful happens every night, and almost no one is aware of it. There is a moment right before you fall asleep where your mind begins to slow down. The noise fades. The constant thinking softens, and without realizing it, you slip into a different state, one where your subconscious becomes wide open, almost like a door left unlocked. Do not skip this part, because this is where most people make the biggest mistake. During this state, your brain shifts into slower patterns, not fully asleep, not fully awake, and in that space, your subconscious stops questioning and starts accepting. Here is something surprising. Research has shown that the brain just before sleep becomes highly suggestible, similar to a light trance state. That means whatever you feel and focus on in those final moments does not get filtered or rejected. It goes straight in, and that changes everything. Because all day your conscious mind argues, doubts, resists, but at night, that guard disappears. The same mind that kept you stuck during the day becomes silent, and something deeper begins to listen. That is why certain thoughts linger at night, why emotions feel stronger in the dark, why old memories sometimes resurface. It is not random. It is your subconscious becoming active, ready to rewrite, ready to absorb, ready to reshape. Here is the truth nobody says out loud. Your identity is not fixed. It is rewritten every single night, not through effort, not through force, but through what you allow yourself to feel in that quiet state before sleep. And if that moment has been filled with worry, fear, or lack, then that is the script your mind has been replaying. But what happens when you change that script right at the exact moment it matters most? And what I am about to share next, nobody talks about this, but it changes everything. There are patterns running your life right now that you did not consciously choose. They were picked up quietly, in childhood, in small moments you barely remember. The way money was talked about around you, the stress in someone's voice, the subtle phrases like "we cannot afford that" or "money is hard to get." These were not just words. They became instructions, and over time those instructions turned into beliefs that started operating in the background. Do not skip this part, because this is where most people make the biggest mistake. Here is something surprising. Studies show that by the age of 7, most of your core beliefs are already formed. That means long before you understood money, your mind had already decided what it means, how it works, and whether it feels safe or stressful. And those early patterns do not disappear. They repeat, quietly, automatically. You might notice it in small ways, feeling uncomfortable when more money comes in, hesitating before taking opportunities, doubting yourself right before something works out. It feels random, but it is not. It is the same pattern, playing again and again. And that can feel heavy, because it makes it seem like something is wrong with you, like you are stuck in a loop you cannot break. But listen carefully. Here is the truth nobody says out loud. This is not your fault, but it is your power to change. Those patterns were given to you, but they are not permanent. The moment you become aware of them, you step outside of them. And once you step outside, you can choose something new. And what if tonight, you did not just understand these patterns, but actually began to replace them at the deepest level? And what I am about to share next, nobody talks about this, but it changes everything. Something is already shifting inside you. Even if you cannot fully explain it yet, there is a quiet moment where change begins. Not loud, not dramatic, just a subtle feeling like something is aligning beneath the surface. And tonight, that moment is happening for you. Do not skip this part, because this is where most people make the biggest mistake. Your mind does not need force to change. It needs repetition with feeling. In fact, studies in neuroplasticity show that the brain begins to form new pathways when thoughts are paired with emotion and relaxation. That means right now, in this calm state, your mind is more open than it has been all day, more receptive, more ready. So just listen and let these words settle into you. Money flows to me in ways I do not need to control. I am becoming someone who naturally attracts abundance. I no longer chase, I receive. Opportunities find me easily, and I welcome them without resistance. It is safe for me to have more than enough. You do not need to repeat them. You do not need to force belief. Just let them exist, like a gentle current moving through you. Because something deeper is already listening. You might notice a shift in your body, a slight release, a softening. That is not random. That is your system letting go of old resistance, letting go of the patterns that once held you back. And here is the truth nobody says out loud. You do not create abundance by trying harder. You allow it by becoming different. And right now, that change is already happening within you. And what I am about to share next, nobody talks about this, but it changes everything. There is a version of you that already knows how to receive, and it is closer than you think. Not a future version far away, not someone you need to become through struggle, but a shift in identity, quiet, internal, where things begin to feel different before they look different. Do not skip this part, because this is where most people make the biggest mistake. The mind does not separate imagination from reality as clearly as you think. In fact, studies show that when you vividly feel an experience, your brain activates in the same way as if it is actually happening. That means the moment you begin to feel abundance, your system starts adapting to it as your new normal, and something changes. You start to feel calmer about money. Not desperate, not tense, just certain. Decisions feel lighter. Opportunities feel natural, not forced. You no longer question if it will come. You expect it to. It feels like waking up without that quiet pressure in your chest. Like checking your life and not feeling behind anymore. Like knowing things are working out even before you see proof. Here is the truth nobody says out loud. You do not attract what you want. You attract who you are willing to be. And right now, you are stepping into that version. The version of you who does not chase, who does not doubt every step, who does not feel guilt around receiving more. This version feels safe with abundance, open to it, aligned with it. And as you settle into that identity, even slightly, reality begins to rearrange itself in response. But there is one final piece, something most people overlook, and without it, the shift never fully completes. And what I am about to share next, nobody talks about this, but it changes everything. The moment you stop trying so hard is the moment everything begins to flow. It feels strange at first, almost uncomfortable, because you have been taught that effort creates results, that pushing harder is the answer. But there is a quieter truth beneath all of that, one that most people never allow themselves to experience. Do not skip this part, because this is where most people make the biggest mistake. Your nervous system cannot receive when it feels pressure. In fact, research shows that when you relax deeply, your body shifts into a state where it becomes more open, more receptive, more aligned. That means the more you let go, the more you actually allow things to come in. Not through force, but through openness. And right now, you can feel that shift beginning. There is nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to figure out. You do not need to repeat anything perfectly. You do not need to control the outcome. Just let your body sink a little deeper. Let your thoughts slow down. Let the weight you have been carrying soften. Here is the truth nobody says out loud. The life you want does not come from effort. It comes from alignment. And alignment feels like this: quiet, easy, unforced. You might notice your breathing becoming slower, your body heavier, your mind less interested in holding on to problems. That is not you losing control. That is you finally releasing it. And in that release, something powerful happens. Because when you stop trying to make it happen, you create space for it to arrive. And what happens in that space, especially as you drift into sleep, is something most people will never fully understand. And what I am about to share next, nobody talks about this, but it changes everything. What if the change you have been waiting for is already happening right now? Not later, not someday, not after you fix everything, but in this quiet moment, as your body relaxes and your mind softens, something deeper is already rewiring itself. Do not skip this part, because this is where most people make the biggest mistake. Your brain is not fixed. It is constantly reshaping itself based on what you feel and focus on. And here is something surprising. During sleep, your brain strengthens the patterns you experienced just before drifting off. That means right now, in this exact state, you are setting the blueprint for what becomes real next, and you can feel it. There is less resistance, less urgency. A quiet sense that things are already shifting, even if you cannot see it yet. That tension you carried for so long, it is loosening. That need to control everything, it is fading. Here is the truth nobody says out loud. Change does not happen when you force it. It happens when you allow it to feel normal. And right now, this new state is becoming your normal. Money feels different, not distant, not stressful, just something that flows, something that belongs in your life without struggle. You are no longer trying to become this person. You are settling into it. There is a calm certainty building inside you. No rush, no doubt, just knowing. And as you drift deeper into sleep, this becomes stronger, more natural, more automatic. But there is one final step, something so simple that most people overlook it completely. Yet it determines whether this transformation stays or fades. And what I am about to share next, nobody talks about this. But it changes everything. Something inside you is not the same anymore. You started this journey carrying weight, confusion, that quiet question of why things were not working. And now there is a different feeling settling in, softer, calmer, clearer. You understand now that it was never about trying harder, never about forcing change, but about something deeper, your energy, your patterns, your identity. And tonight, you shifted it. You saw how those invisible beliefs were shaping everything. You felt what it means to release effort instead of adding more. You stepped into a version of yourself that does not chase, but receives. And as you let go, as you allowed, something began to rewire inside you. This is your takeaway, the one thing to carry with you. You do not create abundance by doing more. You create it by becoming someone who allows more. Let that sink in slowly, because from this moment forward, things begin to feel different, safer, easier, more natural. Money is no longer something distant or stressful. It becomes something that flows into your life in expected and unexpected ways, without tension, without force. Everything you just heard, you already knew. Deep inside, you just needed someone to remind you. And now, as your body continues to relax, as your mind drifts closer to sleep, let yourself fully surrender into this new state. No effort, no resistance, just a quiet trust that something is already working in your favor. Feel the safety in that. Feel the ease. Feel the quiet certainty that you are supported, that you are aligned, that you are ready to receive. Before you go, read this one last thing carefully. This might be the most important thing in this entire video. When you wake up, do not look for proof right away. Do not question if it worked. Just carry this feeling with you. That calm, that openness, that quiet knowing, because that is the signal. And life will begin to respond to it. If this resonated with you, if you felt something shift, stay connected. Subscribe to the channel and like this video so you continue receiving these reminders, these moments that bring you back to who you truly are. And now, just rest. Let go. You are safe. You are supported. And when you wake up, something will be different.